Happy anniversary, Victor. Those were the words written on the card attached to the manila envelope that arrived on what should have been my 10th wedding anniversary. Inside was a DNA test I never ordered, showing that my 7-year-old daughter Emma shared exactly 0% of my genetic markers. My wife Gloria had just walked away with $3 million in our divorce settlement, and someone wanted me to know I'd been living the biggest lie of my life. What happened next turned a simple divorce into a federal investigation that would expose an elaborate fraud ring, destroy a real estate empire, and prove that sometimes the family you choose is more real than the one you're born into. Viewers, if you discovered your entire marriage was a calculated con from day one, would you seek revenge or walk away? Let me know in the comments. Before this story begins, subscribe. You'll never look at relationships the same way again. My name is Victor Johnson. I'm 42 years old, and I've spent the last 17 years as a corporate attorney in Chicago, clawing my way to senior partner at Dalton & Associates. I've defended CEOs accused of embezzlement, negotiated settlements worth hundreds of millions, and built a reputation as the lawyer who never loses. But 3 months ago I lost everything that actually mattered. I'm standing in my penthouse overlooking Lake Michigan, holding a glass of whiskey I haven't touched, watching the sunset paint the city gold. Today is my 10th wedding anniversary. Yesterday I signed divorce papers that cost me $3 million. The penthouse feels like a mausoleum now, echoing with ghosts of a marriage I thought was real. Gloria and I met at a charity gala 10 years ago. She was coordinating the event, moving through the crowd in a midnight blue dress that made her look like she belonged in a different world. I was a hungry associate trying to make partner, wearing a suit I'd saved 3 months to afford. She told me I had kind eyes. I told her she had the most beautiful smile I'd ever seen. 6 months later I proposed on Navy Pier. She cried and said yes. I thought I'd won the lottery. We built what everyone else envied. The perfect marriage. The perfect home. Then 3 years ago, Emma was born with Gloria's dark hair and what I swore were my gray eyes. I stayed up nights walking her back to sleep, changed 1,000 diapers, coached her soccer team every Saturday morning. I would have died for that little girl. This morning I received a manila envelope that proved I'd been living a lie. And someone wanted me to know exactly how deep that lie went. The envelope arrived with no return address, just my name typed on a label. I almost threw it away with the junk mail, but something made me stop. My hands trembled as I tore it open, pulling out documents from Gene Trust Laboratory in Evanston. Paternity test results. The header made my stomach drop. I never ordered a DNA test. The first page showed Emma's genetic profile. The second page showed mine. The third page showed the probability of paternity, 0%. I read it again. 0.0%. Emma Johnson shares no genetic markers with Victor Johnson. Conclusion: Victor Johnson is excluded as the biological father. The room tilted. I gripped the kitchen counter, breathing hard, trying to make sense of letters and numbers that were destroying my entire reality. 7 years. 7 years of birthday parties and bedtime stories, of scraped knees and goodnight kisses, of parent-teacher conferences and dance recitals. 7 years of being her father. All built on a lie Gloria never intended me to discover. But someone else did. Someone wanted me to know. A handwritten note was paper-clipped to the final page, written in careful block letters. You deserve to know the truth. A friend. Who sent this? Why now, right after the divorce was finalized? And if Emma wasn't mine, whose daughter was she? I thought about Gloria's face 3 months ago when she asked for the divorce. Cold. Calm. Prepared. Like she'd rehearsed it. Her lawyer had everything ready, every asset cataloged, every number calculated down to the penny. She'd been planning this. But she hadn't planned on this envelope. I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. Michael Chin, my attorney and oldest friend, needed to see this immediately. Because if Gloria had lied about Emma, what else had she lied about? I burst into Michael Chen's office without knocking, DNA results clutched in my fist. He looked up from his computer, startled, then saw my face and immediately stood. We'd been friends since college, roommates for 4 years, and he'd stood beside me at my wedding wearing the same concerned expression he wore now. I threw the papers on his desk. He read them in silence, his jaw tightening with every line. Victor, this changes everything, he said quietly. If Gloria committed paternity fraud, we can challenge the entire settlement. Get your money back. Possibly pursue criminal charges. I shook my head. I don't care about the money, Michael. I want to know who Emma's father is and why someone sent me this. He leaned back, studying me carefully. Then he said something that made my blood freeze. 4 years ago at the firm holiday party I warned you. Remember? I did remember. Michael had pulled me aside near the bar, drink in hand, voice low and serious. He'd said Gloria was watching Jonathan Price too closely, laughing too hard at his jokes, touching his arm too often. Jonathan Price. My mentor. The man who'd recommended me for senior partner. 55, divorced twice, the kind of attorney who won cases through charm and manipulation. I'd laughed it off, told Michael he was seeing things that weren't there. Now the memory felt like prophecy. I need you to subpoena Gloria's financial records, I said. Phone records, credit cards, everything. If she's been hiding this, she's been hiding more. Michael nodded slowly. I'll call the forensic accountant. But Victor, once we start digging, we can't stop. Whatever we find, you need to be prepared. I looked out his office window at the Chicago skyline, the city where I'd built my career defending people I knew were guilty. I'm prepared, I lied. 3 days later, Michael called me back to his office at midnight. His forensic accountant, a sharp woman named Patricia who specialized in uncovering hidden assets, had spread financial documents across the conference table like evidence at a crime scene. I sat down heavily, already dreading what I was about to learn. Your wife is meticulous, Patricia said, highlighting transactions on her laptop. But everyone makes mistakes. She showed me 8 years of carefully concealed withdrawals from our joint accounts. $50,000 in March 2018. $70,000 in August 2019. $35,000 in January 2021. Always just below the threshold that would trigger my attention. Always with explanations I'd accepted without question. Home renovations. Charity donations. Investment opportunities. All lies. The money had gone to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands under an LLC called Cascade Holdings. But that wasn't what made my hands shake. Patricia pulled up wire transfer records showing monthly payments of $10,000 from another LLC, Castellano Properties, directly into Gloria's hidden account. The payment started 6 years ago, 2 months after Emma was born. Derek Castellano, I whispered. Michael looked up sharply. The real estate developer? The wrongful termination case. I nodded, memory flooding back. 6 years ago, I'd represented Derek in a lawsuit against Meridian Holdings. We'd settled for $4.2 million. Derek had invited Gloria and me to a celebratory dinner afterward. Gloria wore a red dress that night. I remembered because Derek couldn't stop staring at her, his eyes following her every movement across the restaurant. I'd thought nothing of it then. Now it felt like watching a recording of my own murder. He's been paying her consulting fees, Patricia said carefully. But Gloria has no expertise in real estate. I invited Derek Castellano to lunch at Gibson's Steakhouse, telling him I wanted to discuss a potential case. He arrived in a $5,000 suit, all confidence and white teeth, extending his hand like we were still friends. We ordered steaks neither of us would eat. I waited until the waiter left, then slid the DNA results across the table. Are you Emma's father? I asked quietly. The color drained from Derek's face. His hand froze halfway to his water glass. The restaurant noise seemed to fade into a distant murmur, leaving only the sound of his breathing and my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Victor, I can explain, he started, but I cut him off. Don't insult me with explanations. Just answer the question. He looked down at the documents, then back at me, and I saw something collapse behind his eyes. Guilt. Fear. Shame. It was one night, he whispered. One mistake. Gloria told me you two were having problems, that you barely spoke anymore, that she felt invisible in her own marriage. I wanted to reach across the table and break his jaw, but my hands stayed perfectly still. Years of courtroom discipline. One night? You've been paying her $10,000 a month for 6 years. That's $720,000. That's not a mistake, Derek. That's a relationship. His hands trembled as he finally grabbed his water. I didn't know about Emma until 2 years ago. Gloria called me, said she needed to tell me something important. She showed me photos, said Emma was mine, said she needed money to keep quiet or you'd find out and destroy both our lives. My laugh came out bitter and sharp. So you've been paying blackmail for 2 years. That same afternoon, I hired Claire Martinez, the best private investigator in Chicago. Former FBI, sharp eyes that missed nothing, a reputation for uncovering secrets people thought they'd buried forever. She met me in a surveillance van parked outside a luxury apartment building in Lincoln Park, rain streaking down the windows like tears. Your wife is careful, Claire said, handing me a tablet filled with photographs. But everyone slips eventually. I swiped through images that felt like knives. Gloria meeting Derek at the Peninsula Hotel. Gloria depositing cash at a Chase Bank branch in Naperville. Gloria with another man, younger, muscular, wearing gym clothes. Who's that? I asked, pointing at the young man. Tyler Morrison. 28 years old. Personal trainer at Equinox on Michigan Avenue. Your wife has been seeing him for 8 months. While she was negotiating our divorce. While she was taking my money. While she was still sleeping in my bed. It gets worse, Claire continued. Tyler Morrison is also Derek Castellano's wife's personal trainer. I think Gloria recruited him intentionally. Insurance policy, maybe leverage for something bigger. She showed me a rental agreement for a townhouse in Wicker Park, leased under the same LLC that held Gloria's offshore account. Cascade Holdings. She's been meeting Tyler there twice a week. But yesterday someone else showed up. Claire played a video on the tablet. The footage showed Gloria answering the townhouse door, then embracing an older woman, maybe 60, with the same sharp cheekbones and calculating eyes. They spoke for 3 minutes, then the woman handed Gloria an envelope and left. Who is that? I asked. Claire's expression darkened. I don't know yet. But I will. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, stop digging or Emma pays the price. Claire called me at 2 in the morning, her voice urgent. I found out who the woman is. Patricia Hayes. Gloria's mother. I sat up in bed, confused. I met Gloria's mother at our wedding. She lives in Florida. Retired schoolteacher. Silence on the line. Then Claire said words that made my entire world shift again. The woman you met was Gloria's aunt. Patricia Hayes has been living in Chicago this entire time, Victor. And she has a criminal record. She sent me files while we talked. I opened them on my laptop, hands shaking. Patricia Hayes, convicted of insurance fraud in 1998, served 4 years at Danville Correctional Center. Before that, she'd run a sophisticated marriage scam, targeting wealthy men across 3 states. She'd married 5 different men between 1989 and 1997, drained their bank accounts, then disappeared before they realized what happened. The pattern was identical every time. Meet at a charity event or social function. Create a whirlwind romance. Marry quickly. Gain access to finances. Extract maximum value. Vanish. Gloria told me her mother died when she was 16. I said, my voice hollow. Car accident in Tampa. Claire's voice was gentle but firm. Gloria lied about everything, Victor. I pulled her college transcripts. She never graduated from Northwestern like she told you. The charity event coordinator job? The company doesn't exist. Even her maiden name, Hayes, is fabricated. Her birth name is Gloria Patricia Castellano. Castellano. The same last name as Derek. They're related? I asked. Cousins. Second cousins. I think Derek was part of this from the beginning. I think you were always the target, Victor. From that very first night at the gala, you were the mark. The room spun. 10 years of my life, a carefully constructed lie. I texted Gloria and asked her to meet me for dinner at Everest, the restaurant where I'd proposed 10 years ago. She agreed, probably thinking I wanted closure or maybe even reconciliation. She had no idea I'd spent 3 weeks dismantling her entire existence. She arrived in a black dress, stunning as always, her mask of composure perfectly in place. But I'd learned to see past masks in courtrooms. I saw the calculation in her eyes, the slight tension in her shoulders. Victor, I didn't expect to hear from you, she said, sitting across from me. The waiter poured wine. I slid the DNA results across the white tablecloth. Tell me about Emma. Her fingers tightened around the wine glass, but her face remained calm. Years of practice. What is this? She asked. The truth. Finally. After 10 years of lies. I watched her process, watched her decide which version of herself to present. She chose vulnerability, eyes glistening with manufactured tears. Victor, I can explain. It was a mistake, one terrible mistake with Derek. I was lonely, you were always working, and he was there. I pulled out my phone and played an audio recording. Gloria's voice, clear and cold. He's worth at least $6 million. We drain the accounts slowly, file for divorce before he gets suspicious, split everything 3 ways like we planned. Her face went white. Claire had gotten Tyler Morrison to flip, to wear a wire during their last meeting. Every word of their conspiracy recorded. You played me for 10 years, I said quietly. Built this perfect facade. Made me love a ghost. And when you'd extracted everything you needed, you walked away with $3 million. She leaned forward, dropping the act entirely. So what now, Victor? You ruin me? I slid another document across the table, a legal filing stamped and certified. I've filed for full custody of Emma on grounds of paternity fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit financial crimes. I've also sent copies of everything to the FBI, the IRS, Derek Castellano's wife, and the Illinois State Bar Association. Gloria's composure finally shattered. You can't take Emma from me. She's not yours to keep anymore. The state agrees that despite lacking biological connection, I'm the only stable parent she's known. Your parental rights are suspended pending criminal trial. I stood, dropping cash on the table for a meal neither of us had touched. Derek's wife filed for divorce this morning. His business partners discovered he'd been embezzling company funds to pay you. His empire is collapsing. Your mother, Patricia, was arrested 2 hours ago as an accomplice to fraud. Tyler Morrison is testifying against all of you in exchange for immunity. Gloria grabbed my wrist, desperation finally breaking through. Victor, please. I'll give everything back. We can fix this. I pulled my arm free gently. There's nothing to fix. You destroyed it all yourself. The next 6 months were chaos. Gloria was arrested on 14 counts. Patricia Hayes was charged as an accomplice. Derek's real estate company imploded. His wife took everything in the divorce. The media covered it all, Chicago's biggest fraud scandal in a decade. I won emergency custody of Emma. The judge ruled I was her father in every way that mattered. Gloria took a plea deal, 8 years. She'd be out when Emma was 15, if Emma even wanted to see her by then. Through it all, I kept working, kept living, kept being Emma's father. 1 year later, I'm sitting on the floor of my penthouse with Emma, building a 1,000-piece puzzle of the Chicago skyline. She's 8 now, laughing as she finds a corner piece, and the sound fills spaces in my chest I didn't know were empty. People ask if destroying Gloria was worth it. If revenge brought me peace. But I didn't destroy anything. I just refused to keep living in a carefully constructed lie. Emma knows I'm not her biological father. We had that conversation 6 months ago, both of us crying, both of us terrified. But when I asked if she wanted to stay with me or wait for Gloria, she wrapped her arms around my neck and whispered, "You're my real dad." Those 4 words healed something I thought was permanently broken. I think about Gloria sometimes, about the woman I thought I married. She doesn't exist. She never did. I've made peace with that. Last week, another envelope arrived with no return address. Inside was a photograph of Patricia Hayes with a man I didn't recognize, standing outside a country club in Connecticut. On the back, written in those same careful block letters, "Her next husband. You might want to warn him." I stare at the photograph, conflicted. Part of me wants to burn it, to leave the past buried. But another part remembers how it felt to discover the truth too late. Emma tugs my sleeve. "Daddy, can we get ice cream?" I look at her smile, genuine and innocent, and make my decision. I slip the photograph into my desk drawer. "Yes, sweetheart. We can. Maybe I'll warn him. Maybe I won't. But right now, I have a daughter who needs ice cream and a father who finally knows what family actually means. Some stories don't have happy endings. They have real ones. If this shocked you, subscribe, like, comment, and share, because the next story is worse.